Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. Obviously, Zion's been in the news all summer already, and I don't care about any of that. But we're going to talk about the position that the Pelicans are in. And they're in a conundrum right now, man. It's a lot of rumors going on that they want to move up into the top three of the NFL. Been talking about the Saints too much of the NBA draft. Most likely number 2 pick with Charlotte, and this would be for no other than star point guard or hopefully star point guard Scoot Henderson in the draft. And obviously the Pelicans need a point guard. They have C.J. McCollum running the point guard right now, and he's really not a point guard. He's really a 2 guard playing the point guard position. So that'll definitely be an upgrade at the point guard position. But I'm here to talk about these trade scenarios, these trade rumors, and things like that. Now, I'll just say what I want to say on the Zion front. If you trade Zion Williamson, you better be 1,000,000% sure. When I say 1,000,000%, you better be 1,000,000% sure that it works out. Because if it does not work out, it's going to be bad. If Zion Williamson gets traded and all of a sudden he lives up to Zion Williamson and Scoot Henderson just turns out to be a good point guard, not great, you're going to look very, very stupid, and it's going to be franchise altering probably forever. Like it can be that bad. Zion Williamson has that much talent in him that if you trade him for a point guard that's not proven and it doesn't work out, it's going to be bad. Now, what can you get for number 2 pick? I don't think it'll be a number 2 for Zion, just head up. If that was the case, I'm just talking about the Zion Williamson trade right now. I don't think the Pels want to trade Zion, but his name has been linked into rumors. And I think the only team they will trade him to would be Charlotte, just because they have the number 2 pick. You possibly get a franchise cornerstone back. And Michael Jordan's there. He obviously signed Zion to Jordan Brand. You get LaMelo, you get Zion. Obviously, they'll have something to work with. But on the Pels' sake, I want more than the number 2 pick. If I'm giving up Zion Williamson, a guy that he's been hurt obviously in his NBA career so far, but when he's on the court, he's literally a top 10 player in the NBA. And I'm not just saying that because he plays for the Pelicans. The Pels were the number 1 seed when he was healthy for a reason. The guy's unstoppable. He was putting up numbers only Shaq, LeBron, and Wilt were putting up. So obviously, trade him. I would want a lot. I don't care if he's been hurt. I don't care what the past has shown. If I'm gonna trade Zion Williamson, because at the end of the day, he's box office. At the end of the day, he is box office. So he's gonna bring that as well to Charlotte if the Pels were to trade him there. Now, if you're on the trade Zion bandwagon, trust me, I understand. The guy hasn't played. I think played 29 games last season. Can't seem to control his weight. Can't seem to stay on the court. All of these things. So I get it. If you want to trade Zion Williamson, I get it. But say let's say you trade him, you get a number 2 pick. That'll be obviously to be the center around the trade, and you get a couple more pieces. What are you gonna do with Scoot Henderson, C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, Val? You're not making the playoffs right there. You're not making the playoffs. I promise you're not making the playoffs. It's just not happening. It's not happening with that team. Not in the West. Not in the West when you got the Nuggets, you got the Clippers, you got the Lakers, the Kings. Like you have the Warriors. It's going to be a lot of teams that's still better than you. You honestly get worse as a team. Maybe Scoot Henderson becomes something in 2 or 3 years. You get worse as a team. You're basically starting over and starting over. You've already started over when AD got there. You trade AD out the way. You get Zion. Oh, Jeff, when you started over again. Now you're going to trade Zion and you're going to start over again. And then you're going to start over again. And guess what? Like it's just a cycle of starting over. When are you going to actually go for it? When are you going to actually drop your nuts and go for it? Now, trade for Scoot, you can go for it, but it won't be for trading Zion. If you trade Zion, you have no chance to win in the NBA. I'm going to let you know right now. You have no chance to get to that next level, to make a run in the playoffs without Zion Williamson on this team. It just won't happen. I promise you it just won't happen. Now, then you can go to the Brandon Ingram front. I think I've made it pretty clear that trading Zion, in my opinion, would be bad. Just would be bad, in my opinion. Now, if you want to flip him for Brandon Ingram, now I'm interested in that. I'm interested if Brandon Ingram goes to Charlotte. I think that'll still be a nice pick for them. If he goes to Charlotte somehow, personally, I think they should get a 3-team trade going. I think Brandon Ingram will probably be a better fit in Portland. Maybe Portland and the Hornets. Swap number 2 and 3. Then Charlotte could go after Brandon Miller and things like that. You can just mix those up. Maybe they don't want Scoot Henderson. Maybe Brandon Miller's a better fit. I think it's some options if you go the Brandon Ingram route. But now, if you're willing to trade Brandon Ingram, let's just keep it on Charlotte for the number 2 pick and some other things. Now I'm willing to do that. Because now you have CJ. Maybe, I don't know what you do with CJ, but you got CJ going to the 2 guard, just the team as is. With Scoot, with Zion, with Trey Murphy. Now that's a team That's a team right there. That's a team that can, probably make a playoff run. Now, I've been saying, Zion can't shoot, Scoot can't shoot. Who gives a shit? You get the best players available to you, and you figure that out later. If you put them on the court with CJ, you put them on the court with Trey Murphy, with Val, who can knock down a three occasionally, you'll be fine. I promise you, you'll be fine. Zion's played with people that can't shoot his whole career, and it doesn't matter. When he gets in that paint, he's going to draw attention. Just because Scoot Henderson's open at the three-point line, if, like, say they just trap off of him, doesn't mean he has to take the three. Now you have eight foot of space where you could drive to the goal, drive and kick. You're just breaking down the defense. Just because you're open at three doesn't mean you have to take it. So the he can't shoot is I don't buy too much into that, man. Especially when you got a 19-year-old point guard. Like, he can work on those things, and I don't think people understand the attention Zion draws, the gravity he has when he's on that basketball court. It'll be a lot of open shots, especially with the emergence of Trey Murphy. Like, I mean, you can't really help off him. You can't really help off CJ. So I mean, cut it out. You get the best players available. And my thoughts. If you think it's a good trade, I'm not, like I said, I don't know enough about Scoot for me to say we should trade Brandon Ingram for him. But if the Pelicans think that's the route, that's the route. I made a video last year that said we should be going after KD, and I got killed in the comments. I got killed in the comments saying, no, we should keep Brandon Ingram. We should do this. I promise you it won't be enough. In the NBA, you need a top 5 guy, a top 10 guy at the least, with some good role players around them to win. Look at the NBA championship. Look at the NBA championship, the NBA finals. You need a top 5 guy. I mean, they happen to have the best player in the NBA, in my opinion. And look at the Heat. You got Jimmy Butler, a fake top 10 guy. You're just never going to win that way. You're never going to win that way. Look at all the finals and all the finals MVPs, from Steph to Kawhi's, Jokic to LeBron's. You have to have a top guy. You have to have it. And I like Brandon Ingram. I really, really do like Brandon Ingram, but he's just not a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA. And if you had a chance to trade him for Kevin Durant last year, you should have. Let's just be honest. You should have made that trade. Especially if you could keep CJ. Now, letting go Trey Murphy, I wouldn't have done that with Brandon Ingram for KD just because he's a little older. But the objective for the Pelicans, man, it'll let me know what they want to do as a franchise for the time being. If you trade Zion Williamson, you don't want to win. You want to pretend you want to win every year. That's the kind of franchise I'm going to label you with. We're going to fake it like we really want to do it, but we don't really want to do it. Eventually, you have to just go all in, put your chips in one basket and say, hey, man, I'm all in right here. I'm all in. I'm all in on 0-0 right here. We're going for it all. Because eventually, you're going to just be stuck in mediocrity forever, 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 forever. The old Memphis Grizzlies teams remind me of that, with Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph. Those guys just were stuck at the 7th seed, 8th seed, like every year. Maybe higher than that sometimes, but never was a threat. If you want to be a threat, you need good players, man. You need good players. You see, the Nuggets maxed out Jamal Murray, maxed out Jokic, made a trade for Aaron Gordon, the former number 4 pick. Went to go get KCP, maxed out Michael Porter Jr. They went all in. They went all in on it, and look what it delivered for them. Look at the Lakers with Anthony Davis. They traded Lonzo. They traded B.I. They traded whoever else in that deal. Got rid of Josh Hart, Larry Nance, all these players, Julius Randle, all the young players they had. Guess what? They went all in, and even though it was a bubble championship, they won a championship. Look at Toronto Raptors when they got Kawhi Leonard. They went all in, and they got a championship. You have to take risks in the NBA. You got guys like the Miami Heat who's about to try to acquire Dame Lillard, in my opinion, they should, or Bradley Beal or whoever, and they just were in the finals. And the Pelicans and the fans want to hold on to these players so bad, and it's not giving them a chance to win. Like, what do we want to do? We want to just be stuck to these players and be like, oh, I love these players so much, and let's just, hope to get a play-in game. Or you want to be a fucking top team in the NBA and go for it. You have to make a choice on that. You just have to make a choice. You can't try to play both sides of the fence of, maybe we'll do it next year. Maybe we'll do it next year. Maybe we'll do it next year. Go all in or don't go all in, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. At least the Saints, I know the Saints, it might not work, but they're going all in every year. Hey, we're saying fuck the cap. We're pushing it back. And we're trying to win a Super Bowl every year. I mean, that's just the case, and the Pelicans need to get on board. I know it's different in basketball. I know the Zion thing is tricky, but I mean, man, make a decision. But if you trade Zion, I know you don't want to win. You don't want to win in the next 3 or 4 years, because you won't. You won't. Like, it's just as simple as that. It's just that team is not going to be good enough to win, and it's probably never going to be good enough to win. You have to hope you have a top 5 caliber player. I'm going to keep saying it. You got to hope. And you're hoping that Scoot becomes that one day in maybe 4 to 5 years. And then you're going to maybe have to put some pieces around him. And then maybe in 6 years, you'll have a chance to win. I know when Zion's on that court, I've seen it with my own eyes. Now, obviously, that's a big if and win because he's never on that court. But when he's on that court, he has top 10 talent. He plays like a top 10, top 5 NBA player. He's that good when he's on that court. And once you have that in your building, it's tough to let go. it's tough to let go. I mean, you had Steph Curry, his first couple years being hurt, missing a lot of games with those ankle injuries. You got Joel Embiid hurt. You know, now they have a really, really good team. They just choked it away for getting James Harden. But when you have a top guy like that in your building, I know it's injury problems and this and that. You just don't want to let that go. You just don't want to let that go. I promise you, if you let that go, it's probably going to be. Look at the Spurs when they let Kawhi go. You let that go, it gets nasty. Look at the Cavs, you know, when LeBron left. You don't want to let these top guys go, because if you do, it's going to ruin your. Look at the Thunder. They let go Westbrook and KD. It's tough when you have a top 10 guy in that building. You really don't want to let those guys go, man. So we'll see what the Pelicans do. We'll see what they do. This is a big decision coming up for them. That's just my opinion on it, man. I had to throw my thoughts out there. It's a very tough decision for the Pelicans, and it's gonna you know, show me what they want to do in the future moving forward. But this will definitely be telling for the Pelicans. If they stay stand pat, you know, if they stay the team as is, the team is really good as is. Last year when they were on the court together, they were really good at it, good as is on the court. They still need some point guard help. Still don't like CJ running the point per se. He needs to be more consistent. I think he should be a sixth man at this point in his career. That's a different story for a different day. But I'll see what the Pelicans do. You know, leading up to the draft. Do I think it'll happen? No. Do I think Zion will happen? I give that under 3%. I think if it does happen, it would be Charlotte, because I think Michael Jordan would do anything in his possibility, in his realm, to get Zion Williamson. He was already reported trying to sell a team, but he see if they had the #1 pick. I think that was his. If they got the #1 pick, obviously he would have stayed, because that's going to bring in a lot of revenue. Your value is going to go up. That's a franchise-changing player in Victor. I think his plan B was, hey, if we don't do that, maybe we'll try to get Zion. And if I don't get Zion, I'll probably just, you know, look to sell this team. So I think he'll do anything to get Zion Williamson. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I wouldn't trade him. Brandon Ingram, I'll think about. Like I said, I wanted to trade him for KD last season, but we didn't do that. So we'll see what the Pelicans do, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below about this situation for the Pels, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. And we'll see what happens. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, this is the Boo Tragedies, and I'm out.